Okanagan Beaver Project. We specialize in coexisting with North America's native keystone species and ecosystem engineer, Castor canadensis, otherwise known as the American beaver, in order to support watershed function, biodiversity, water security, and climate resilience. Are beavers taking down trees you care about on your property? Wrapping trees with wire mesh fencing can be a simple, long-lasting, and inexpensive solution. Keep watching for a tutorial on tree wrapping that's quick, effective, and likely won't need your attention for 3 to 5 years down the road. Sometimes referred to as nature's engineers, beavers chew down trees both as a food source and as building material for their dams and lodges. Beaver dams slow and spread flowing water, which creates ponds and wetlands that have incredible ecosystem benefits, from increased biodiversity to wildfire resilience to improved water quality and quantity, and even carbon sequestration. Beavers improve resilience against drought, storing water so creeks flow higher and cooler in the heat of summer, and improve groundwater recharge, which raises water tables, keeping surrounding areas green and lush even in dry seasons. While beavers provide innumerable ecosystem benefits, even in developed landscapes, they can sometimes cause problems by chewing down trees that landowners would prefer to keep standing. At the Methow Okanagan Beaver Project, we encourage land stewards to try coexisting with beavers. We are here to help provide solutions that enable people and beavers to coexist, allowing both to reap the benefits of a wetter, more diverse, and more resilient future. If your main source of beaver conflict is beavers chewing down desired trees, fencing trees can be a great solution. In this video, we'll show you a quick tutorial on how to effectively and easily wrap trees with mesh fencing material. No T-posts or pounding required. For tools, you will need loppers, bolt cutters, and pliers. A sharp handsaw or small chainsaw may be helpful too. For material to wrap the tree, we strongly suggest using 2x4-inch mesh welded wire fencing material, rather than chicken wire. Chicken wire is not sturdy enough to prevent beavers from damaging priority trees, so we don't recommend it. You should be able to find this type of fencing at your local hardware or pipe store. How much fencing you'll need for individual trees depends on the circumference of your tree. We'll describe this in more depth in just a minute. We generally use 4 to 6 foot tall fencing material, and the 2x4-inch mesh comes in 4, 5, and 6 foot heights to best suit your needs. If you're expecting significant snowpack in the winter, use taller fencing material, as beavers don't hibernate and will be able to access higher on your tree in the winter due to snowpack. One roll of fencing will typically wrap about 10 mature trees. Remember, safety first. When you work with wire and tools, make sure to wear your safety gear. Eye protection and gloves are a must. First, you'll need to assess which trees are a priority to wrap and which can be left unfenced. It's important to leave some trees free so the beavers are left with an accessible food source. This will further protect the priority trees that you choose to wrap. Focus on wrapping mature trees that provide shade over streams, and any trees that you are particularly attached to. Once you've decided where to start, it's time to assess your tree and clear your work area. Take a look at the tree you want to wrap. If it has low-growing branches or plants growing around its base, it will be difficult to securely wrap it with fencing. Use your loppers, handsaw, or pruning chainsaw to do some pruning, and take the time to clear away any obstructions so you have a clear workspace. Estimate or measure the circumference of your tree. Add a little extra onto that circumference to leave about 6 inches of space around your tree. Then finally, add a foot or two onto this number to leave some extra space to extend your fencing as your tree grows. This is your final number of how much fencing you should cut. This can be a very rough estimate. Just make sure to err on the side of extra fencing rather than not enough. Unroll your fencing and measure or estimate how much you want to cut. When you cut the fencing, cut just before the wire intersects, so you are left with long, pokey ends of wire. This is important because you will use those ends later to connect the fencing to itself to make a circular cage. Now it's time to put your fencing around your tree. Overlap the fencing until you have about 6 inches of space around the tree. Then twist those long, pokey wire ends around the other side of the fencing to connect the fencing to itself. You can use pliers to do this or your fingers. Do this about every other row all the way down the fencing, but leave the bottom 3 rows unattached. Create the flared base or skirt to help your wire tree cage stand on its own. Use wire cutters or bolt cutters to snip the bottom 3 rows of wire. Do this about every foot to 1.5 feet around the tree so that you're left with flaps that can fold up to fan out on the ground like a skirt. This skirt prevents the beaver from pushing the fencing up to access the tree, as when the beaver is close to the tree, it will weigh down the fencing by standing on the skirt. Now, grab your circle of fencing and wiggle it gently until it comes to rest nicely on the ground. If your tree is on a slant, or there's a root or rock in the way of the wire fencing, you may need to slightly adjust these flaps so that you aren't left with gaps. Cut the fencing slightly higher up on the uphill side so it sits flush against the slope. Extend your fencing as your tree grows to avoid embedding the fence in the growing tree, girdling it and potentially killing your tree. As your tree grows in circumference, you'll want to make your circle of fencing bigger to leave it room to grow. As years pass and it looks like your tree needs some more room, return to your fencing and unwrap the pokey wire ends. Extend the fencing by overlapping it less. You can continue to extend the fencing as your tree grows over time. Tree wrapping is an easy, effective, long-lasting, and relatively inexpensive solution to a common source of human-beaver conflicts. We hope this video helps you live better with beneficial beavers. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your future tree wrapping adventures. Visit methowbeaverproject.org to learn more about other strategies for coexisting with beavers, and contact us if you have any questions or if you're interested in scheduling a free site assessment where we'll analyze your beaver problems and suggest the best solutions to living with beavers.